Hi. So today we are going to be talking about e-cigarette use in adolescence and how it pertains to health behavior theories. Okay, sorry. Okay, so um, some of the best practices for e-cigarette use in adolescence. So these are three examples of some scholarly articles that I looked at. So the first one talks about how non-traditional e-cigarette flavors, like things fruity, cotton candy, anything like that, um, are increasingly marketed towards younger people, which has led to a drastic increase in e-cigarette use. Um, then for the Oxford Academic, it talks about students who begin vaping out of pure curiosity of what vaping is and kind of seeing their friends do it are more likely to participate in vaping cessation behaviors. So quitting vaping, so if it's more internal. Then the last article that I looked at talked about the use of social media like Instagram, TikTok to spread awareness about nicotine abstinence and the importance of not vaping and the effects it can have on your health. And they created a campaign with the hopes of helping people quit using e-cigarettes and nicotine products after 30 days. So the first theory that I'm going to apply for quitting vaping is the trans theoretical model. This is an independent or an individual level theory. So for the first stage, it talks about how there was no intent of quitting that behavior. So the pre-contemplation phase. So this would be a teenager who's vaping every day and has constantly used their vape, and they have no plan to quit vaping at all. The next stage would be the contemplation stage. So this is maybe they see something online and of a TikTok influencer that they like and they're quitting their vape and they're like, maybe I can quit the vape since they're quitting it too. So um just seeing if that's maybe a change that I want to make within the next 6 months of my life. Then the next construct is the preparation stage. This is when the action or the like trying to quit vaping is more immediate. So you're trying to make these changes in like a public way. So maybe you're telling your friends that you're quitting vaping, or you're posting on Instagram like, hey, I'm quitting vaping. I don't know. I mean, I've never vaped, so I don't know. But those are some ideas. The next stage would be the action stage. So this is when the behavior change actually happens. So this is when you actually, like the teenager actually quits vaping. They do things to limit um, being triggered by that stimulus. So maybe instead of every time they want to hit their vape, maybe they're popping a piece of candy in their mouth, or whenever they want to hit their vape, they're trying to distract themselves with exercise. So something like that. Instead of doing that negative behavior, which would be the vaping, they're replacing it with something positive. So something that they like. Um, so like that piece of candy idea. The next stage is the maintenance stage, and this is when people try to maintain that behavior of not vaping, so that they don't start up that habit again. So just um, continuing to maintain that change. And then the last stage, this is termination, and this is where you no longer have any cravings for the vape. You don't even think about it. Um, so now that self-efficacy is a part of it, they had the ability to quit the vape to begin with. So now that they feel that, they have the ability to maintain that and prevent relapse. Um, Okay, so some strengths and weaknesses with the trans theoretical model. Um, it helps adolescents understand which stage they're at when it comes to quitting e-cigarette use, so they are able to refer to that model and decide where they're at. Like, am I still vaping every day and I don't even think about quitting? Then I'm in that pre-contemplation phase. Have I stopped vaping for over 6 months. I don't even think about it. Now I'm in termination. Or I saw one of my friends vaping and it kind of sparked something in me and maybe I'll relapse. So I don't know. And then another strength of the trans theoretical model for this behavior is after they have completed one stage, they're able to move on to the next, and it's a self-evaluation on where they're at. So once you've kind of moved on from contemplation to preparation, you've kind of moved on in like, I am going to quit vaping. It's no longer a maybe I'll do it in the next couple months. It's like, okay, we're about to start doing that behavior. One of the weaknesses of the trans theoretical model for e-cigarette use behavior is it's not a straight path. There will be times where you kind of go back and forth between the two, or maybe you think you're in preparation, like you're about to quit vaping, and then something happens, and then you start all the way over at pre-contemplation when you're like, I'm still vaping every day and I don't even want to quit now. So for the next theory, it is social cognitive theory. This is both a individual and external theory. So it talks about the importance of not only yourself, but the environment that you're in and how it can impact your behavior. So for the first individual construct, which is the behavior capability, it's the difference between learning and performance. So someone has to know that vaping is bad in order for them to quit vaping. So that's individual. Then for outcome expectations, it's the hope that quitting vaping will make them feel better or they'll be able to breathe better. So that's an expectation of quitting vaping. Then outcome expectancies is the value that they place on that. So they may have a sport that they love and they're having a hard time catching their breath when they're playing their sport. And so now they are like, I'm going to quit the vape so I can play my sport and really enjoy that better and not feel so sick while I'm doing it. So that's an outcome expectancy. Self-control is how much control a person has over whether or not they're vaping. Am I able to make this change? Like, I know that vaping is addictive, so it takes a lot of self-control to quit. Emotional coping is someone's ability to deal with the emotional effects of quitting something. So I know that when you quit vaping, there are a lot of physical symptoms that come along with that. That can be like headache, nausea. That's all I can think of right now. But there are some like emotions involved with that. And then the last one is self-efficacy. Am I able to actually quit this behavior? So some external factors or environmental constructs. So around you, vicarious learning is seeing someone else, maybe your friend, quit vaping and you see how much better it is for them and that they no longer wake up feeling sick in the morning, or if they don't have their vape, they just automatically get a headache. So seeing the positive and negative effects of the vape on someone else's life is vicarious learning. The environment. So if someone who vapes is on a sports team and none of their other friends are vaping and they want to quit, then that could be an environmental factor for quitting vaping. Reinforcement, that could be every time or every day you go without the vape, your friend gives you a little gift or something. Like you have people around you in your environment who will help you with that. And then the last one is reciprocal determinism. And this is the idea that it's a continuous loop. So it not only has the factors of you as a person, so like, am I actually able to quit vaping? And then the environment. Are my friends vaping? Do I see them vaping? Am I tempted all the time? And then how that influences your behavior. So some of the strengths of using social cognitive theory for this is it builds on the skills that people already possess to change their behavior. So you're not doing anything crazy extra. And it also emphasizes the importance of self-efficacy and the ability to reduce harmful behaviors. So am I able to actually quit the vape so that I start to feel better and no longer am harming myself? And then some weaknesses of this is there are a lot of different dynamics in someone's personal network that can influence their behavior. So if you have a lot of friends who are vaping around you all the time and it's just really tempting and that's something that you're having a hard time dealing with, then that can definitely um, factor into your own personal beliefs if your environment doesn't necessarily match what's going on internally. And then comparing the two, trans theoretical model is more of an individual level theory, while social cognitive takes into account both individual and external factors. So trans theoretical model, you're only like all of those phases that you go through are all internal, they all have to do with you. Whereas social cognitive theory, it's not necessarily as much of a like a straight line decision that you would see in in the trans theoretical model. Also in the trans theoretical model, there are a lot of different processes people go through when making a decision, and they're all internal. And then individuals are able to assess what stage they're in, so they can decide, am I in my contemplation phase where I know it's going to happen in like 6 months? Am I in my termination phase where I no longer think of my vape? Um, and then in social cognitive theory, it has a lot of emphasis on self-efficacy. Am I able to quit? And then it also talks about how learning is done by observing others. Kind of that reciprocal determinism. It's kind of a big loop. So your environment and your personal factors play a role in your behavior. And then those are my references. Thank you.